What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Marvel edition of the Ragin Nation show. This is just Webster's. We're talking about all things matter in the world of Marvel films. It's episode number 134, and in this episode, we gotta talk about that new trailer that just dropped for Spider-Man Homecoming. Also, we gotta talk about the Spider-Man cinematic universe from Sony Pictures, which is actually still happening. So let's talk about Spider-Man Homecoming trailer number 2. I checked it out. It was cool. And there's something I still gotta say about it, and that is they showed a little bit too much. To be completely honest, I think that they showed a little bit too much of specific scenes, especially a scene which involves a ferry boat, a ferry ship splitting in half, as well as a scene which involves a plane that's about to crash. I think those scenes, they just showed a little bit too much, and it kind of reminds me about the marketing for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You remember the marketing for The Amazing Spider-Man 2? They pretty much showed the entire movie with all the TV spots combined with the trailers. It was a little bit too much, and you pretty much saw everything that was going to happen in the movie. Like, every major event that was going to happen in the movie was shown in all the marketing, and it just killed the movie. So those are my thoughts about it. Now, that's not saying that the trailer wasn't cool. I mean, it showed off a lot of cool things. Like, for example, spider drones, as well as a lot of scenes with Iron Man, and a lot of scenes involving Tony Stark and Peter Parker having moments together. There's a really cool scene where Tony Stark actually suggests that he's going to take the Spidey suit away from Peter Parker, and what follows after? He continues being Spider-Man with a ghetto suit. I mean, like a kind of like a makeshift version that he made himself using like a hoodie. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of cool. We got to see a brief moment of Bokeem Woodbine as Shankar, and lots of Michael Keaton as Vulture. So they showed quite a bit. Now, one thing that I thought was really, really cool was when they showed this scene where he puts on the suit, but then he pushes the button, then it kind of just form fits on him, like zoop. That was really cool. I think that was the one thing that really just made me go, ooh, the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything else it just felt a little bit generic, in my opinion. Because, keep in mind, this is the 5th, 6th, 7th. I was just thinking this is the, this is the 6th Spider-Man film, or films featuring Spider-Man. There was Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and also Civil War, and now Spider-Man Homecoming. So, you know, they really got to do a lot of unique and different things for us to really feel that this is something special. But I still feel that it's going to be a great film just because we got perfect casting, and it's part of a really, really amazing cinematic universe, which is, of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So those are my thoughts about the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer number 2. Now let's talk about Sony and their plans for the Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, which is something that was talked about many years ago before they decided to give, or rather lend, their Spider-Man character to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or rather lend it to Marvel Studios and Disney. Before that even happened, there was a lot of talk about a Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, which involved like a Sinister Six film, a Black Cat film, a Venom film. There was a lot of plans that they had going on, but then all that got squashed. But now there are more details talking about that it's still actually happening. And that first little detail is about the Venom solo film. Now that is something that is happening because just came out of nowhere that Sony Pictures locked in a date for the Venom solo film. It's coming out next year, October 5th. Now, if that release date sounds familiar, it's because DC's Aquaman film originally was scheduled for that date. However, as soon as Sony took that spot over, they shifted. So they didn't want to encounter that competition. So that's what they decided to do. Now, there is rumors suggesting that Venom is going to be rated R. And that is something that I think is a step in the right direction. It's a bit risky. In fact, it's very risky. But I think it's a step in the right direction, especially if they really want to do a good job with this film. Logan Deadpool. Both huge successes because these are two films that needed to be rated R in order for them to really tell the story well. So if they want to make a Venom film in the most, I guess, truest form of the source material, then definitely they got to make it rated R. The film is suggested to be an action science fiction horror. So you can see where that direction is going in should they decide to make it rated R. And to top things off, here's another rumor. It is rumored that producer Shankar could potentially be directing this film. Now, this is just a rumor. Now, if you've never heard of Shankar, he is he's the producer of many R-rated films, great R-rated films, by the way, such as Dread, Lone Survivor, The Grey, as well as he produced that really, really awesome and gritty Power Rangers short film, as well as this Punisher short film, Dirty Laundry. So you can see what it would be like if he was going to be the director for Venom. I think it's a step in the right direction, but all this is just a rumor. Now, the big deal about the Venom film is that it's supposed to be the start of the Spider-Man cinematic universe. It's supposed to kick it off. Essentially, this is like the reboot of its universe, because the Amazing Spider-Man only had a run of 2 films, which was supposed to be expanding into a cinematic universe, but that never happened after the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that isn't going to happen. But it really is going to happen because apparently Sony has gotten Thor Ragnarok writer Chris Yost to work on a Silver Sable Black Cat film. It's going to be a Spider-Man spin-off film based on these 2 characters. And this is something that was also talked about in the early stages many years ago, that there was going to be a female-centric Spider-Man spin-off film. So a lot of people were thinking automatically, okay, Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Gwen, Silk. You know what I'm saying? Originally, that was the idea for the Spider-Man female spin-off film. However, it looks like they're going on the more villainous direction, especially since films like Deadpool are a success. Suicide Squad is such a financial success. So Sony is following suit. They want to make an R-rated Venom film. I guess it's a pretty big deal because Sony, in my opinion, was lost for a while. The only saving grace for their, I guess, superhero properties was that they actually lent the character to Marvel for them to use in Civil War, and now Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland's going to appear once again as Peter Parker Spider-Man in Avengers Infinity War, and it's possible that the final film for Tom Holland as Spider-Man in that universe could be the Spider-Man sequel. Now, this was suggested by a former head of Sony, Amy Pascal. Let me just read you this quote from her, and this is regarding this was actually mentioned during CinemaCon. One of the things that I think is so amazing about this experience is that you don't have studios deciding to work together to make a film very often. In fact, it may never happen again after we do the sequel, because Sony and Disney and Marvel all decided that the right thing to do was to allow Peter Parker and Spider-Man to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and to work with the Marvel guys and have them produce this film. And I think that was a very rare thing for 3 companies to do, and a very brilliant thing for them to decide to do, because there are only so many stories that you can tell again and again and again about Spidey. And this is something that we would have never been able to do in any other way. So it was a very selfless thing, that very smart on the part of all the companies. So she did mention something that is a very, very key thing. And she says, in fact, it may never happen again after we do the sequel. So that is suggesting that after Civil War, after Homecoming, after Infinity War, and after the sequel, it's possible that they're going to take the character back and bring it into their Spider-Man cinematic universe, which they would have developed by the time that they take it back. Because if Venom is a success, if Black Cat Silver Sable is a success, they will have established the universe. They will have established their cinematic universe, And now, once Spider-Man is back, then they no longer need to lend the character back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe will have milked all they could from Sony, and then they would feel like, okay, you can have him back. We've done all we could. You can have him back. And then that is just great timing for Sony because, like I said, they will have established their character and now, or established the universe, and now it's solid. This is very, very smart because it's just riding off the coattails of Marvel's success. So very, very smart, and it looks like it's actually happening. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, once Spider-Man goes back to Sony, and it's not like it ever left, but once they are able to have the character back into the universe, does it need to make a connection with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Absolutely not. The Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't even have to mention or bring back Peter Parker if they don't even want to. It doesn't have to happen. Or they could borrow him from time to time, make cameos, but essentially it's not necessary. As for Peter Parker coming into the Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, they don't even need to mention anything about the Avengers either. Let them have their universe and let them expand upon that. I think it's a good trade-off. So that's what's happening. All right, so really, really exciting stuff. Anyways, what do you guys think about the Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Universe? It's happening. Venom could potentially be rated R. And yeah, so there you have it. Maybe that Sinister Six film could still potentially happen. I hope it happens. Establish all the villains. After all, that's pretty much what the Spider-Man universe is made of. Spidey villains, like a whole bunch of them. And then Spider-Man characters. Like the female Spider-Mans like Silk, Spider-Girl, Spider-Woman, Silk, Miles Morales. So there's a lot of options out there. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this episode. As always, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name's Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Those musical numbers. I mean, the pacing was perfect. And of course, it had that very, very magical and Disney-like fantastical feel to it.